Big moment there for OU football, as this is the very first time that we've heard publicly to the media straight from the head football coach Brent Venables after the sudden resignation of longtime assistant coach Cale Gundy.
Right, he started off this address by saying he wasn't going to talk about the incident. He talked about it a little bit, maybe not the incident itself, but the impacts on the program and how they're now trying to move on in fall camp. What do you think?
Well, I think it was, the first thing I think is whether you like Brent Venables or not, or whether you agree with his decision or not, I don't think he could have been more effective than what he just did for 30 minutes. He spoke from the heart like he's always done. He couldn't resist going into it after saying he wasn't going to because this has consumed him. But he said we needed to address it. We met 3 hours as a team on Saturday, transparency and apparently emotion, and a lot of things came out. But the question was, well, man, what do you do now? What do you change? His answer was, we don't change anything because we're laying a foundation based on respect for people and effort and doing the right things every day with everything, and that has not changed. If anything, he says, we're closer together than we've been, and through 5 practices in 3 days, he described it as incredible. So that's my first overall take.
Sports Director Dean Blevins with us. And Dean, you have such great insight from your time playing college football and just all of your connections. Head coach Venables talked a little bit about the culture. You mentioned it. What do you think this really does to the culture of the OU football program?
Well, I think that the culture is probably better right now than it maybe ever has been. I know Bud Wilkinson back in the day was outstanding, so I don't have a sense of going back that far, but he was fantastic. I played for Coach Switzer, and we didn't have internal problems much. Coach Stoops addressed it in a great way. But in terms of listening to the people I respect, whether they're coaches, administrators, former players, or who are coaches now or staffers now, everyone says that the culture is better right now than it's ever been. So it's ironic that this situation came up and that pitifully some in the national media are spotlighting Cale Gundy in the most vicious ways. Recruiters will take that, opposing recruiters, and they will negatively recruit against Gundy and OU, and it will hurt to some degree. But despite all of that, my strong sense from talking to the people I just mentioned is that it's never been stronger.
You know, Barry Mangold reported earlier that he was part of 277 game wins, Coach Gundy, the most of any player or coach in the program's history. So for a coach coming into his first fall camp, losing somebody that's been a part of that much of your program is sort of a sense of common staple, right, if you will. How much does that hurt as a coach, or how difficult is that to overcome? Or if any time is now even a better time as you're trying to build your own culture?
Well, no question it hurts, but this is not like a gymnastics team or a basketball team with 5 or 8, 10 guys and 3 or 4 coaches. This is a body of people of 125 guys out there playing and some 50 support people, and the coaches waiting to get in the business, analysts that they're now bringing in the way they should have a long time ago. And so they have people available to them to step in. Will they coach as well as Gundy did? Maybe. This guy, LaDamian Washington, was a 4-year star in college at receiver. So from a technical position situation and coaching, maybe he's even better. But is he going to recruit initially? Does he have, like Cale had, an encyclopedic knowledge of all the terrain, of all of the people and how you do it, and former players, ex-players? He won't have that. But I really don't believe it's going to be as substantial as I may have thought when it first came out. And largely because of that guy you just listened to for 30 minutes. Like him or not, agree with him or not, he was sensational in that moment. That's his most valuable asset to me. Communicating with players, recruiting players, selling their parents, and doing it in a genuine way. No question, that's what I saw.
And his job now, as he mentioned, helping him stay focused on the task at hand.
Right.